some kind of ship or something like that, and they're flying along. Because I want to put a human element into this. When you put human elements into something, it establishes scale very, very quickly. It tells you how big something is. So if I was to put a, say, a little spaceship flying here, you know, just making this up on the fly here, so I'm not sure of the design. They're flying kind of away from camera. Whoops, different eraser. Right, so there's one here, and maybe his thing like this. This really crazy, complex, ginormous, multi-wing, over-designed flying thing. Anyways, it's flying this way, right? Then we could put another one, for example, maybe right next to camera. So I'll probably put another one here, because we are trying to tell a story. We're trying to sell a bunch of different ideas in one painting here for these kind of production painting things. So the same vehicle will probably be here. Therefore, I can insert a human scale, which is a pilot, right? So he's, for example, here. He's sitting there. Bunch of things in the front of him and all these logos and stuff. Something that you could definitely see human scale or human level details, like the name of the pilot and all these kind of things. And what this does, you create another layer of space, because now I know that between this guy and that guy there's a space, and therefore this guy and this guy has a space. So if I put another vehicle here, and he's like, say, this big here. Let me zoom in here. So it's got these wings. He can't be too small because the size difference between these two are not vast, right? So it needs to be at least, you know, this big. So he takes up, say, that much space somewhere flying there. Right, so these guys are zooming in. This guy is zooming in here. Here's his streaks. Right, so this creates a sense of space and scale. So now I know that this dude here is quite big. So judging by this size and this size, by the time this spaceship gets to over here, he's gonna be quite small. It's gonna be about, you know, maybe this size or something like that. Right, so another one flying here. So this one streaked all the way over there, and it's got a little buddy over here that's way small. So what is this for? This just creates a sense of scale. So now we know that, okay, a human is this big, and the same human, by the time he gets over here, is now, if I draw him here, he's about that big. So this creature, judging by my eye, a person is probably about this big on him. All right, so if he's standing on, you know, crawling on this creature, he'll be about that size, right? Making this creature massive. So by the time it gets here, the same guy is, you know, about that size there. The same guy on this guy will be a little dot like about, right? And that's about right in judging by the scale, right? So what it does is just helps the audience understand the size of it. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to draw these in, but this is actually what I wanted to do, is these little spaceships kind of following these guys along as they float around the valley. So a quick way to do it, just add some flying creatures like birds, because humans know how big these things are as well. You know, you kind of have a good sense of birds. They're not going to be ginormous. I don't think, you know, I don't think anyone's going to think a person is this big on this bird. They're going to think that, oh, these are sort of human scaled birds. You know, humans maybe this big, okay, relative to it. So, and this then creates a sense of scales, because you use this to create the same effect. Like, oh, I see there's some over here flying around, and then we have some flying over here, and then they fly into this mist way out here. So you kind of feel like there's a big giant vista way out here somewhere, right? And that's kind of works the same way as putting those spaceships in. Okay, so that's all they kind of did. That's why you see birds in a lot of different kind of production paintings. They're fast and they're easy way to show scale. Okay, last thing I did here, always put your name, date, and I mentioned this previously. Name, dates, and stuff are for archiving. Don't try to use this as a show-off thing. You know, I personally, I just don't like. I don't like signatures that does, you know, this kind of crazy stuff, or sometimes like ridiculously huge. You know, this is not an art gallery. We're not selling these things. These are meant for production. They're meant to sell a design, right? So let your design speak, not let this kind of stuff design. So just put your name, nice, simple handwriting, date, what it's for. So here you can see my name. Done in May 2010, and it's a live class demo. That's it. Nice and simple, and it's very kind of hidden in the corner here. Doesn't really show off at all. Just in case someone wants to see it, they could see it, but it doesn't pop at all. Okay. The last things here after signing your name is some color balance stuff. So I adjusted the levels a little bit, because for printing, if this painting is gonna live in a digital world, it's probably okay like this. But oftentimes we do print stuff out in our industry. It's just so much better to hold something in your hand versus everyone crowding around a screen to look at it. And also, a piece of paper can be passed around the office quite easily in a student environment. You can pass it to the directors, to the production guys, to you know, the guys you're working with. Just simple piece of paper, pass it around, so everyone can see design. Versus I come to my computer, or here stick this USB drive in here. Right, so we print stuff out. And generally printers, sometimes they print too light, print too dark. In our case, I like to adjust stuff a little bit darker. This is adjusted for our printing in my company here, so I tend to make it a little darker. And you can kind of play around with some stuff like this, right? Color tinting. This is using a color balance. It's locked. Let me unlock it. Okay, so I just kind of, you can see here in the midtones, I kind of made it a little bit warmer, and the shadows I made it just slightly cooler. Very minimal movements here on these little handlebars. You can see here, right? Very minimal. But what it does, it kind of just changes everything to a different hue. So this one makes it more red, previous one a little more blue. Either one works, you know. I think for me, maybe I'll keep the let's see, I don't know, both one works, because value wise they work. You see, if I turn this on, this doesn't really change stuff. So the only thing you did is kind of made it slightly darker, but color wise it's dramatic, you see. But because the value reads, it actually doesn't really matter. You can just, it's personal preference on what you want to use. And here is a very slight layer on overlay. You can see it's on 10% only. It's blue. What this does is kind of gels all the palettes together, because if I turn this off, for example, and we zoom in all the way in here, like we zoom in 1,000 pixels in or something like that, in these pixels what's happening is the local value, because sometimes the local colors, not value, because sometimes not match exactly to what the environment is. For example, there is a haze, right, a blue haze between me and this creature here. There's a distance here, and there's a distance between here, and this value perhaps is too raw, meaning that the blue haze is not taken in account with this red glow. So because this red color, by the time it reaches me, is going to pass through some of that atmosphere, some of the hydrogen and oxygen. It's going to pick some of that light up before it reaches my eye. So what this does is that, you see, it's, even though it's so slight, you could probably barely see if I turn this on and off, it's going to just add that tiny % of hue of the blue haze into this painting and mixes it with this red value, and it just kind of calms the entire painting down. It brings everything into the same world, I guess is a good way to say it, right? You can see here, on, off, right? So now everything has the same treatment of this kind of bluish haze, and you can change this color to whatever you want. So for example, we could change it to, here's more yellow haze, here's more green, here's blue, here's red, right, back to green. So it's up to you, but what it does, it kind of just gels everything together. It's a nice thing to do at the very end of a painting. So you see here, all orange, which is quite nice as well. Okay, and that's it. And then this is still my black and white layer, which I always keep on to check values. So you can zoom out and just check your values to see that, okay, I think it still works. It reads, there's a distance, there's this fog underneath. It looks like a huge vista going on way back here. All right, whoops, turn on the black and white. Right. And the background actually is still relatively loose if you turn all these off. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of how this painting all came together. Let me get rid of these layers here, and if we just do a quick review, turn stuff on and off, let's just for fun get rid of some stuff here. So you can see without the background it looks like this. Right, here's a miscellaneous bird stuff gone, here's the bugs, here's the background again, textures, the bugs, the little birds, and the color adjustments on and off and what that does. So alright, so I'll just leave it on this screen. Whoops, let's turn all this on here for a few seconds. So yeah, so thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully doing one a week of these little tutorials, and we're going to start to try to vary what they do. Maybe next week we'll do something about how to prepare a portfolio or something to that degree. So it's just general video tutorials about anything design related, you know, even maybe how to get a job and those kind of things. And also we've been receiving quite a bit of email from you guys requesting certain things, so I'll try to get to those as well. But I'm quite backed up even with these tutorials here, but you know, I'll definitely try to get to them. So all right, thanks again, and hopefully see you guys next week. All right, bye bye.